Today, we're diving into a complex and controversial topic that has captured the nation's attention. Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Many of you might remember her story, a tragic tale of abuse, deception, and ultimately, a shocking crime that ended the life of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. Gypsy Rose spent years under her mother's control, suffering from Munchausen symptom by proxy, a condition where Dee Dee fabricated and induced illnesses in her own daughter. In 2015, Gypsy and her then boyfriend, Nicholas Godijon, were arrested for Dee Dee's murder. Gypsy was sentenced to 10 years in prison, a sentence that many believed was influenced by the years of abuse she endured. Now, in 2024, Gypsy Rose has been released from prison, and there's growing discussion about her potential future in the public eye. Can and should society accept her as an influencer? Does her past define her future, or does she deserve a chance to use her voice and experience to impact others positively? In today's video, we will explore Gypsy's story, the ethical considerations of her becoming a public figure, and the potential impact she should have on social media. We'll also look at your thoughts and opinions, so be sure to leave your comments below. So, should we accept Gypsy Rose as an influencer after her release? Let's find out together. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lindsay Unfiltered. And today we do have a more modern, up-to-date edition of A to Z Scandals. We are on G today, and we will be talking about Gypsy Rose. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Gypsy Rose is. And we're not going to be touching so much on the scandal and what happened, even though I know it is about scandals. We will talk about that if no one knows what exactly happened with her. We'll be more touching on if we believe as a society, because I feel like there is a line drawn in the sand if we should let or allow or believe that she should be an influencer, which means she should have millions of followers on social media, branded TV deals after just being released from prison for the crimes that she committed. Now, if you guys don't have a clue what I'm talking about, I will break that down a little bit more with some background information. Now, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born on July 27th, 1991. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's parents are Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard and Rod Blanchard. Dee Dee Blanchard suffered from a condition, a mental illness called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or MSBP, and that is a mental health disorder where a caregiver, usually a parent, fabricates or induces medical conditions in someone under their care, typically a child, to gain attention or sympathy. This can lead to unnecessary and harmful medical treatments for the patient. Dee Dee Blanchard subjected her daughter, that's Gypsy Rose, to years of abuse through Munchausen syndrome by proxy. She falsely claimed that Gypsy had numerous severe health issues, including leukemia, muscular dystrophy, and developmental disabilities. Dee Dee subjected Gypsy to unnecessary medications, surgeries. Wow, okay, that's a big one. Medications is huge, but surgery going under anesthesia, cutting. That's absolutely crazy. And treatments confined her to a wheelchair, basically had everyone around them, except for the two of them, believe that Gypsy as a child couldn't walk. And Dee Dee Blanchard also controlled all of Gypsy Rose's interactions with others, all to gain attention and sympathy for herself.
There's a point at which you got put in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And you were 7 years old, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why did she tell you you were going in the wheelchair?
I did get into a motorcycle accident with my grandfather, and it skinned my knee. And she took me to the hospital and then told me that the doctor gave her a wheelchair, and I have to be in a wheelchair now.
Forever?
Forever. She had me use a walker before the wheelchair. And then after that motorcycle accident, put in the wheelchair.
Why did she tell you had to be on a walker?
She said that I had muscular dystrophy.
Now, it was to gain attention and sympathy for herself, but part of me, in my opinion, truly thinks that Dee Dee thought something was wrong with Gypsy. The sheer amount of hospital stays that they went through, the sheer amount of time she was taking her to the hospital, the sheer amount of doctors she was hopping through, I don't think, if there wasn't something mentally wrong, that she would have done that. In my opinion, I think she truly thought something was wrong with her. Couldn't take it out of her mind that something wasn't. So, and it was, in a way, her way of controlling her daughter. She wanted her daughter under her wing for as long as she could. So in 2005, a horrible storm hit the New Orleans region, Hurricane Katrina, and displaced a lot of people, including Gypsy Rose and her mother, who lived in the Slidell area. That's about 45 minutes away from New Orleans, okay? I was in the area. I was probably around 45 minutes away. I was a young child as well. And I was about 45 minutes away from where Gypsy lived at that point. So to think all this was going on, and I was about 10 years old. So me and Gypsy are close in age. She's a little bit older than me, but we were evacuating. And her things got destroyed in the storm. All her records supposedly got destroyed in the storm. But she lost her house. Now, I don't find it hard to believe that they lost their home because a lot of that area was destroyed in the storm. Slidell, New Orleans was underwater. It was absolutely terrible, terrifying, right? So I don't find it hard to believe. But they did receive a house from Habitat to Humanity. They were going around saying she had all of these terminal illnesses, putting her in a wheelchair, and that they had just lost their house from a horrible, horrible natural disaster. Everybody felt terrible. You know, it was worse. It was bad enough she had all these terrible illnesses. And now a storm comes and blows her house off the hinges. So she got a new home. And her and Dee Dee were grateful for it, they seemed. So they got a free home, essentially. I don't even know if Dee Dee was getting, I'm pretty sure Dee Dee was getting government assistance as well for these fake illnesses, which is wild because all of that is not true for you to be getting government assistance. I blame the doctors, because how can you allow a woman to go on TV and say this child has this child can't walk, this child has that, and you know you just saw that child yesterday, and you know that child didn't have that wrong with them, okay? Gypsy eventually got older, and Gypsy knew that she could walk. Gypsy knew that she wasn't as sick as her mom was saying that she was. Gypsy knew she could eat and didn't need a feeding tube like her mom said she did. Gypsy knew all of this stuff. She was like, my hair grows. It doesn't need to be shaved off. I'm not balding. I don't need chemotherapy. So when she was getting older into like prepubescent hood, she set out to meet young boys and men, kind of like normal teenage girls do, but they're allowed to do so in a school type of format. They go to school, they have cell phones, they have normal interaction with other children. So to her, interacting with other children was like a luxury. Interacting with other children was like, wow, what is this? These other kids want to talk to me? Because her mom kept her so sheltered for such a long time. So when she did get that chance to interact with those kids, growing up into becoming a teenager, she started looking for young men. She started talking to young men online, got on Christian Mingle. I still don't understand why Christian Mingle and why were they on that one. Why was Nick on that? And why was she on that, you know? But she met a young man named Nicholas Gojon, and they instantly started a relationship. They had a lot of the same features when it came to not being fully their age, if you understand what I mean, not being fully mature. Nicholas had some developmental issues, it seemed, and they just were there for each other. Nicholas fell head over heels for her. He fell head over heels for her, and he said he would do anything for Gypsy. She suggested, you'd even get rid of my mother for me? And he said he would do anything. He's disturbed. He said yes. Several text messages over days could capture intent and actual planning of this by the pair of them. What, when, and how. And it happened. And when it happened, Gypsy did not stop it. They fled the home and went on the run. The both of them were not that bright in thinking. They obviously were functioning on a younger mindset than they actually were, because there was no way they actually thought they wouldn't get caught doing something as heinous as this and just running off into the sunset. It was absolutely pointless, right? So needless to say, they were swiftly picked up. Swiftly, right? And the legal proceedings were probably the most twisted part of the case, because they break down the text messages. They show intent. They show that, hey, it wasn't just like heat of the moment argument, right? It was planned over a period of time, right? And this is where we see the pair begin to turn on one another, because they know now jail time is involved. And we're talking about a lot of it, right? So they begin to turn on each other. Their fairy tale love story, the running off into the sunset, because they feel like they've eliminated their problem, that came to a swift end, right? But Gypsy felt like it was the only way out. Gypsy felt like it was the only way out, and that's the horrible part about it all. Nicholas Gojon said that if it wasn't for Gypsy, he wouldn't have done this terrible thing. But Gypsy says if it wasn't for Nicholas Gojon, her mother would still be alive. So I'm having trouble understanding why, when the cuffs were thrown on, they went to turning on each other. As if they weren't acting together on this the entire time. The entire time they were texting. When the cuffs are thrown on, you see who people really are, right? It could have all been prevented. I feel like it just went in a loop, really. Nicholas Gojon got life without the possibility of parole for his actions, being the one who actually carried out the heinous act, while Gypsy got 8 years for the co-conspiring and essentially setting someone up to do it for her. Was it fair? Because of the abuse she sustained in her childhood? You guys, let me know what you think.
Should you be in this prison?
To be honest, I have complicated feelings about that. I believe firmly that no matter what, murder is not okay. But at the same time, I don't believe I deserve as many years as I got.
But your mother is dead.
She is, yes.
And she was murdered.
Yes, sir.
And you were involved.
I was.
What would be a just punishment?
I'm not really certain on that. I do believe that I do deserve to spend some time in prison for that crime, but also I understand why it happened, and I don't believe that I'm in the right place to get the help that I need.
While in jail, Gypsy Rose got picked up by many Lifetime documentaries and was interviewed inside of the jail. She shows remorse, but the public, while she was in jail, kind of showed some fear about her well-being when she gets out. She gets married while in prison to a pen pal. Okay. In my opinion, I wouldn't marry a pen pal that I hadn't been on a formal date with outside of the prison. She really doesn't know her husband outside of a few letters and phone calls. I'm going to say a few. It could have been 100. It could have been 200. It could have been 8,000. But word on the street is she's out and has a new boyfriend. Like, they're going through the motions, her and the husband. So you can see how it's very fast paced for her right now. So she's out now currently, and when Gypsy Rose got out on December 28, 2023, her life changed forever when the power of social media struck her. She got millions of followers on Instagram when she created it, and she got fans, followers, and people who didn't support her from the beginning. They didn't support her release. Some people feel like she shouldn't have got released. Some people feel like her and Nicholas should have gotten the same amount of time. She became a social media sensation overnight just by stepping out of jail. You see this happen more often with the rise of social media, right? People who do extremely long jail sentences, right? They get out and they hold their phone in front of them, right? And they're like, guys, I just got out of jail for 15 years. I was in jail for 15 years. And everybody's like, oh my God, welcome home. Hey, I feel like I can say welcome home too, because you've been in there for 15 years. You've been in there for 8 years. Welcome home. That's all I can say. I can respect that. Because most people wouldn't be able to do it. I'm not going to always err on the side of, oh, they're just going to mess up again. I hope they don't. I ask you, should we accept Gypsy as an influencer since she's done her time in jail? She can do whatever she wants. She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. But I'm saying in your opinion, should she just be frontline in the media, on our TV screens, soaking up influence? It's something we need to just discuss, because we see it happening more and more. You know, women are getting out of prison. They might be beautiful women, dangerous women, beautiful women getting out of prison, and they are, in a sense, being lifted up. And some people are sitting around and saying negative things, and some people are sitting around and saying very positive things. But in your opinion, should we just wipe the slate clean? In my opinion, everyone should be given a second chance, right? But we need to make sure to check up on her mental health. I feel like in situations like this, we definitely have to keep tabs on it. Ask her how she's doing. You know what I mean? That type of trauma, that type of the things she's went through, we have to check on her. Bullying and all of that, the bullying, the verbal abuse, putting her in the limelight is just going to expose her to more bullying, verbal abuse that she's gotten her whole life. We have to check on her. The mental health, the decisions she makes. I feel if she's going to go public, she owes us that. We want to know what's going on with your relationships. You're putting us in them. So when you put us in your relationships, telling us you're getting married to this man, but now you're seen with another man, what's going on with that? You're putting us in it. So now it's time to speak up about it. What's going on with your therapy life? That's what we want to know about. So what do you guys think? Share your opinions in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The next video is going to be H. But this one is a good one to talk about, a good one to delve into, and a good topic to bite and chew on. But guys, I really, really appreciate you guys coming through and think about this one. Thanks, guys.